You know that sinking feeling when you see water spreading across your floor? Your first reaction is, of course, panic. But what happens next? It doesn't have to be total chaos. In this explainer, we're going to break down the actual step-by-step professional process for getting your home back after a flood.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with the absolute chaos of those first 24 hours. Then, we're going to look at how the pros actually tackle the problem, dive into the real science of getting things properly dry, cover what you should expect as a homeowner going through it, and finally, really understand why calling in a professional makes all the difference. So just picture it for a second. A pipe bursts. Water is everywhere. The clock starts ticking immediately. What happens in the next 3 days? Well, that's what's going to determine the long-term health of your home. This isn't just about cleaning up a mess. It's a full-on race against time, moisture, and yeah, biology.
Okay, so let's talk about that race against the clock. Because when your house floods, what happens in that first 24 hours can literally make or break the entire recovery.
This number you see here, 24 to 48 hours, that is the critical window. You see, in a humid climate, that's all it takes for mold to start growing on wet materials. If you miss that window, you're not just drawing things out anymore, you are suddenly facing a much more complicated and way more expensive mold remediation job.
And the crazy part is the things that cause this are often hiding in plain sight. We're talking about those big summer thunderstorms that just completely overwhelm your gutters. Or, that AC condensate line that quietly clogs up and starts overflowing into your attic. It could be a washing machine hose that just gives up without any warning, or even a tiny slow leak under your foundation. These are the everyday things that can suddenly trigger a massive emergency.
So the water's in, the panic is real. Now what? Well, this is where the professionals come in and replace all that chaos with a calm, methodical process. Let's break down what that response actually looks like.
A proper restoration, it follows a very clear roadmap. First, they have to assess and document everything. This part is absolutely crucial for your insurance. Then comes the big one, immediate extraction of all the standing water. After that, the real science kicks in, with structural drying. And finally, they verify, with data, that the job is truly done. This isn't just a cleanup, it's a 4-phase technical operation. Now, here's something really important to understand. Not all water is created equal. Professionals break it down into 3 categories. You've got Category 1, clean water, like from a busted supply line. It's a huge problem, but not really a health risk. Then there's Category 2, gray water, maybe from a dishwasher. It's got contaminants in it, so it needs to be sanitized. And then there's Category 3, black water. This is the serious one. We're talking sewage or floodwater. It's a biohazard and requires a full decontamination.
And this is exactly why it's not a DIY job. We're talking about serious industrial-grade equipment, truck-mounted extractors that can pull out thousands of gallons of water an hour, huge commercial dehumidifiers, high-velocity fans. But they also use high-tech gear, like thermal cameras to find hidden moisture behind walls, and digital meters to get super precise readings. So, they've got the right tools, for sure. But getting a house properly dry is so much more than just blowing air around. It is, quite literally, a science. So let's get into the why behind this whole professional process. The secret sauce to all of this is a field called psychrometrics. I know, it's a mouthful, but it's really just the science of how air and moisture interact. Professionals don't just use fans to move air. They actually manipulate the temperature and humidity to create a controlled environment that literally forces moisture to come out of drywall, wood, and even concrete. It's pretty cool.
And they aren't just making this stuff up as they go. The entire industry follows a very specific rulebook. It's called the IICRC S500 standard. This document lays out the exact procedures, what needs to be documented, and most importantly, the scientific targets for when a material can be considered officially dry and safe from mold. No guesswork allowed.
So, what does dry actually mean? Well, this chart gives us some hard numbers. See, it's not about how something feels to the touch. It's all about measurable data. According to the standards, drywall has to have a moisture content of 12% or less. The wood framing inside your walls, that has to be at 15% or lower. Hitting these specific targets is the only way to prevent big problems like rotten mold from showing up later.
Okay, so we've covered the emergency and the science, but what does all of this actually look and feel like for you, the homeowner who's standing right in the middle of it all?
Well, the very first thing you can expect is speed. In a real emergency, professional crews are often on site within an hour of your call.
That immediate response is so important. It's designed to stop the water from spreading and get the drying process started before secondary damage can really set in.
So what does the process look like day to day? Well, for a typical situation, the core drying takes about 3 to 5 days. Day 1 is all about extraction and setting up all that equipment. After that, technicians are going to come back every day to monitor moisture levels and make adjustments. Only when those scientific targets are hit do they finally pull the equipment out.
You know, a huge part of this whole thing is communication. You should expect to talk to a real person from your very first call. You should be getting daily updates with the actual moisture readings so you can see the progress for yourself. Good professionals will also handle the massive headache of documentation for your insurance claim, and at the very end, they'll give you a final moisture map as proof that your property is truly scientifically dry. And this brings us to our final and maybe most critical point. Why go through all of this? What is the real, tangible difference between a scientific, professional approach and just, trying to handle it yourself?
The biggest danger in a flood isn't the water you can see, it's the moisture you can't. Water gets trapped inside walls, under your floors, and deep inside insulation. A DIY approach might make the surface look and feel dry, but it's that hidden moisture that causes all the rot, the mold, and the really expensive repairs down the road.
Let's just put it side by side. A DIY approach relies on what you can see. You're using tools like shop vacs and regular fans that can actually make things worse by just blowing moist air and mold spores all over the place. A professional restoration, on the other hand, is aiming for scientific dryness, using a controlled system to pull moisture out of the very structure of your home.
And so, we're going to end with this question, because after everything we've just talked about, it really is the crucial takeaway. Is a surface that looks dry the same as a surface that is safely dry? Well, the science tells us the answer is almost always a hard no. And understanding that difference is really the key to truly recovering from a flood.